Hey, that's a nice opening shot there, Jason.
Yeah, I know.
Welcome, final dudes, final girls. It's us, the final guys, on this Wednesday night. Yes, it's not Tuesday. So check your calendar. It's Wednesday, and we are here live talking about our mommies and daddies, but we'll shorten it, make it mom and dad. I'm Hunter Shea, and I'm joined by this dude with the beer, Jason Brant.
Heidi ho, neighbor Hunter. I had nothing there.
Speaking of hoes, Jack Campisi's here.
Thundercats, ho!
And like I said, we're going to discuss the movie Mom and Dad, which is streaming right now on Amazon. It's on video on demand too, if you have Optimum or Verizon, wherever you are. Maybe not if you're in Brazil. I don't know how you find it there. But before we do that, let's get into a little news. And Jack, it better be good. I'm going to punch you.
Well, I got some good news. I got some weird news. I am going to start off with bad news, though. Last week on the 24th, we had a legend of the horror genre pass away. I want to acknowledge it. The author, Jack Ketchum, died of cancer. This guy was the real deal, as I said in my tweet. Hunter, you turned me on to him because I often turn to you for book recommendations. And I remember you handing me The Girl Next Door and just going, all right, so you're going to feel like gross after this book because this is like the hardest book to read. But when you're reading it, you're like, yeah, if somebody can write a horror novel and make me feel like this, like he's a master. So I know you've met him, so I wanted to flip it over to you, but I just wanted to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
If you have not read a Jack Ketchum book, that should be next on your list.
Yeah, way back in like 2010, I was at Horrifying Convention, and the beginning of that summer, I got an acceptance from Leisure Horror for my first novel with editor Don Diora, and I was over the moon. And all summer, my agent was discussing, they were going back and forth on the contract. Little did I know was, Dorchester Leisure was prolonging it because they knew they were going out of business. Yeah. So as I was ready to sign, they closed shop, dream over. And I met him at Horrifying. I was so despondent. I wasn't going to write anymore. I was done. And he's there. Jack liked young girls, not little girls, but he was like 60 at the time, and his girlfriend must have been 22 or something.
He's the man.
Yeah. And my wife kept going, "Oh, look, he's there with his granddaughter." I'm like, "No, man, that he's making out with his granddaughter then." And he was there. He was there with a drink. And I told him everything. I like spilled my guts all over his table because it was like a quiet time. And he said, "Man, if Don likes you," because Don was his editor, he goes, "If he likes your stuff, man, it's good. It's going to sell. Don will take it somewhere or someone else." He goes, "Do not give up, man." He goes, "Trust me, that guy's got an eye." And that was it. It's like, boom, the light switched. And I was just like, I'm back in the game. And he was everything he told me was absolutely right. I have a signed book of his, and he wrote some really nice stuff. And I was a total stranger, but that's what he did. He was a guy that Stephen King looked up to, yet he was always free with his time. In fact, he hung out at a bar down in Manhattan, and if you wanted to go there anytime and sidle up next to the bar, he would have talked shop with you. So he was a great guy, and he's going to be missed.
Some of the books that he wrote that were turned into movies are also like some of his most prominent books. So I'm just going to fire off The Lost, The Woman, The Girl Next Door, Offspring, and Red.
Yeah. The sad thing is no one has made a really good version of one of his books, but hopefully it comes posthumously.
Have you seen The Woman? That's one of those ones I see the thumbnail for, and I think I might watch it just because I didn't realize that was Ketchum.
I think I own it.
I have, yeah. It's a good movie.
Yeah. It would be even better with a little more of a budget and defter hands, maybe. I don't know.
Was that Lucky McKee? He always worked with him, I think, for the movies. I think it was Lucky McKee. I could be wrong on that.
I think you're right.
So I read Girl Next Door. If I was to read another Ketchum, what would you recommend?
You mentioned Red. I love Red. That's a great book. Give that one a shot.
All right.
Well, we know the guy liked to drink because he was a man of intelligence. So before we forget, we should do the drinking rules because I already forgot and I just remembered.
In Jack's honor, what are we drinking?
Jack, your words are charmed, unsane, and spoilers. I'm wondering, is unsane just Sheridan has just drank too much and his mind isn't working, or is there something behind this we don't know?
It's an insane
Charmed
thing.
Charmed, Unsane, or Insane, and what was the last one?
Spoilers.
Done.
They know you're obsessed with spoilers. Hunter, yours are Netflix and Crazy. Oh, only 2.
Oh, awesome.
And mine are Dark and Kids. And I guess the bonus words for all of us are Cage, Blair, and Purge.
Blair. We're going to talk facts of life?
Selma Blair, you knucklehead.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But we could talk facts of life.
Drink.
Is 2D one of the words?
That shit is Netflix crazy.
It is insane.
Jesus Christ.
We like to get them buzzing early.
Well, the next piece of news. So remember that movie Don't Breathe about the blind guy and the group of robbers that went in?
Yes, Steve Barnard hated it.
Yep, Steve Barnard hated it. We both thought it was pretty good. A lot of fun. Well, they asked Stephen Lang, the blind guy from the movie, who's also famous for his role in what the hell is that movie with the blue people?
Avatar.
Avatar. They asked him if there was going to be a sequel to it, and he said, "Oh yeah, we're doing a sequel." So, more than one website has reported this, that the Don't Breathe 2 is on the way, and the director, I guess, said that we have like Sam Raimi is involved. I think he's like an executive producer or something. He said that like we have the best idea for a sequel for this, so they're all fired up. They don't want to just retread the first one. They want to do something different. So that movie took a crazy ass turn that took that movie from like this good to this good in the third act. So I'm on board. That's like a good popcorn flick.
Did it take it to 11?
Yeah, that's a damn good movie. Bring it on.
It's one louder. We'll just hope that the turkey baster makes it to the second.
You know, I could probably do without another one of those.
I want more turkey baster.
Some people want more cowbell. I like more turkey baster. All right. Are you guys aware that Zac Efron is currently making a Ted Bundy movie? It's called Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile.
Oh, I hope he's shirtless.
He does have an impressive torso. So, you know, Ted Bundy is famous for being the handsome serial killer, and Zach certainly is a handsome lad. Well, it turns out that now Jim Parsons has joined the cast. TV Sheldon, the grown-up Sheldon, not the little one. He's joined, and he's going to be playing Larry Simpson, who's the lead prosecutor from the 1979 Miami trial. I believe this movie starts with Bundy getting pulled over and arrested or something like that, and then reveals his story from there. I'm definitely curious to see how this one comes out, because
is this Ted Bundy's shoe salesman?
That's
Al Bundy. Peg. Oh, it's Al Bundy. I get those two confused. You know, I'm not too keen on the casting, but give them both a shot. This could be the breakout role for Dreamy. And
Zac Efron's a pretty funny guy. If you watch like Neighbors and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I like Neighbors. So
I wrote him off when he was like a High School Musical pretty boy. Then he got sort of into the Judd Apatow and Seth Rogen, that crew, and he flexed his impressive pecs and comedy muscles, and so. But for Ted Bundy, I actually think he's got a great personality for that, because one thing I've noticed in his acting is he's able to kind of turn a switch and go from like charming and harmless to like have an edge to him. So should be interesting. Jim Parsons played a scientist in that Hidden Figures movie.
How was he in that?
He was fine.
This movie will leave you questioning Zac Efron. Topless.
Ted Bundy's a fascinating story. I'm sure you guys have watched documentaries about him before, but he was arrested and escaped prison.
Yeah, he was a badass. He's a badass as far as killers go.
Yeah.
I like Henry Lee Lucas. He was sloppy.
Sloppy. All right. Now, we all are aware that Quentin Tarantino is making a Charles Manson movie.
Set in the West, the Old West.
However, it turns out there's another movie being made called The Haunting of Sharon Tate. And
oh, for fuck's sake.
Sharon Tate is going to be played by Hilary Duff.
You know what? She looks like her. The scary thing is Hilary Duff, I think, is older than Sharon Tate was when she died.
Probably.
But
Hilary
they do
Duff
look
is
alike.
a pretty girl.
Hollywood is so unoriginal. Oh, they're doing a movie with Sharon Tate, and we got to get another one going at the same time. See if we can get it out first.
Well, it's interesting because they were talking about the different scenes, and I guess there was a house on Celio Drive or something like that, and then another house across the street or like very close by, and one of them is gone now, but the other one is supposedly haunted by Sharon Tate. So I don't know if this movie is a recreation of the murder or an actual ghost story about Sharon Tate being the ghost.
So Sharon Tate is haunting her neighbor's house? Is that what I heard?
The house that she was murdered in, or the property where she was murdered.
Okay.
I
think there was a guest house on that property.
It could be the guest house.
They picked a great actress because she brings with her all of the Lizzie McGuire oeuvre. So I think that showed she's got the chops. So, what? I don't get it.
She might have the chops, but I have the don't give a fucks.
I got a strong case of the don't give a fucks on this one.
This one feels like it pops up on Netflix. You go,
well,
oh yeah, didn't we talk about that once?
You know what happens? Jason, you talked about like studios rush to put out another movie. A lot of times it's sabotage. So if they hear that there's a good movie coming out, they will make a shit movie. So that way, put it out first, so no one goes to see the good one, and they go, like Paramount, we just destroyed your movie, Sony.
Oh, it's like Dante's Peak and Volcano.
And Deep Blue Sea and one of those.
Well, they also do it because then they can ride on the advertising the bigger budget film is using. And some people get confused and see the shittier one.
It was Deep Impact and Armageddon too, I think.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do it all the time.
Are you getting it? Armageddon it.
Oh my God.
All right there. Def Leppard. For those of you youngins.
Yeah, really. You didn't get that reference. All right. The last piece of news I have. When I first read it, my reaction was, oh God. And then I thought about it and said, actually, this might make a lot of sense. So remember, like, I think it was last week I mentioned how I'd love to go back and get In Search Of on Blu-ray or something.
Yeah.
And you guys said they're on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it turns out they're bringing back a reboot of In Search Of. And it's going to be hosted by Zachary Quinto, who plays Spock in the new Star Trek.
Oh, it's pretty genius casting. I'm not going to lie.
I thought you were going to say William Shatner. I was going to shit myself.
Oh, forget it. That would have been the first piece of news then.
So is this show just they take clips off YouTube and play them? I mean, isn't YouTube the new In Search Of?
Yeah, really.
Right. So the thing I thought about was, like, if they had announced this but hadn't announced the host yet, one of us in the conversation would have been like, oh, they should get the guy who plays the new Spock to host it. So they did. So I
would have given my pat answer for any casting, Cedric the Entertainer.
Steve Harvey.
Ladies and
gentlemen, Bigfoot.
Oh, I like yours, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Could do the splits.
You know what? You know how they're going to get this new one wrong? It's going to look too slick and clean. Like, In Search Of was kind of gritty and creepy in that grittiness, and they screw everything up by making it just too bright and too nice.
The other thing, though, is when Leonard Nimoy talked, it sounded like a scientist was talking about UFOs and Bigfoot, because he just sounded like a legit. He was Spock, and when he talked about anything, you were just like, well, yes, this is totally fact. The Bermuda Triangle is absolutely an alien vortex or whatever, So I don't know if Quinto's got the same clout.
Well, the other thing is the impact in the 70s, it's all there was.
Yeah.
Now it's like, well, I'll just flip the next 7 channels all have something paranormal on. So it's gonna get lost.
The problem is here, if let's say they put this on Netflix, there's gonna be the In Search of thumbnail and then the Bill Nye debunks everything right next to it. So
fuck you, Bill Nye.
The fun out of all this stuff. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it because bringing back In Search, if that's going to be something we're going to at least check out the first couple. And the other thing is I want to see the updated theories on things because remember, like Hal Lindsey of his books, The Late Great Planet Earth, and all that other stuff, and everything was supposed to blow up like 20 years ago or whatever. It didn't happen, and there were certain theories about things that haven't come true or definitely not. So I'd like to see what the new theories are on some of these things. So
no, I know I'll watch it.
They should have got the bro guy from Ghost Adventures to host this.
Oh boy.
Oh Jesus Christ.
I think they should get
it's real, bro.
They should get J.J. Abrams to direct it. They could have a lot of lens flare.
Zach Bacon's punch Bigfoot in the balls. Yeah, I told you you're real.
I saw a thing about Zach Bagans, whatever the heck his name is, on YouTube or some video. He actually touched the Annabelle doll. They had some guy who has it now. He like has it in like a case,
right?
And wears gloves when he moves it or something. And Zach's with him and accidentally touches it, and then all of a sudden, like he gets all sick and all this other stuff happens.
The fake ghost hunter touches the fake doll.
Yeah,
fakeness ensues.
Nothing is scarier than a Raggedy All Dan. Dan doll.
Raggedy All Dan.
Wow, that was one of your drinking words, I think.
How much? I've barely started.
That's a Raggedy Old Dan.
That's probably my problem. I'm not drunk enough to talk
Easy
yet.
for you to say.
You dirty bums of stitches.
Raggedy Doll Ann.
You still can't say it.
Giggity,
no,
giggity.
That was on purpose.
Oh. Raggedy All Dan. I'm going to remember that.
Well, I can't top that. So that's all the news that's fit the point.
Perfect. God, we're merciless to each other. This is like being back in Catholic all boys school. It's just ragging on any mistake.
I was gonna make a sex joke there. I'm just gonna let it go.
Yeah, there's a joke in there, and like just
there is.
Just gonna walk away from that one.
Saints preserve us.
Who wants to play leapfrog with the altar boys? Jason, how about you go first? Let's let you get over your Raggedy Noll Lounge Dan Bongo.
Yeah, you can't speak right now. Let's have you go.
Bongo.
All right. I watched a couple of gems in different ways. So I found this movie on Amazon called Empire of the Dark. It wasn't streaming. I had to buy the DVD. But oh my God, I don't know where this movie has been my entire life. It is one of the best bad movies I feel like I have ever watched.
Is it going to be on so bad it's good?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's one of those where the guy wrote, directed, and starred in it himself. So he's playing this action star who has to sword fight and shoot guns and all this crazy stuff. But he's like this schlubby 45, 50-year-old. Like he didn't even lay off the donuts long enough to do this action role. And it's just the best. I mean, I cannot describe to you guys how freaking hilarious this movie was. I'm just going to have to send you guys copies sometime, but you can't watch it alone. You have to drink and watch it together. It's got the devil in stop motion animation, hand puppet monsters, cultists. It's great.
Color me in.
He goes down into hell a couple times and it's just the same set he keeps running through over and over and over. It's glorious.
Jack, there's a case of PBR with our name on it.
Hells yeah. So how did you find this movie?
I'm always in a search for bad movies. And I just stumbled upon this one called Empire of the Dark. And the cover alone, I was like, yes, please. That looks great. So if you ever get a chance, Empire of the Dark.
Nice.
All right.
Then I watched Wish Upon, movie that came out last year with Ryan Phillippe and some other actors and actresses.
That's on my list as well.
Have you seen it, Jack?
I have not, so you two can go ahead and talk.
Yeah, don't worry.
I won't spoil it. It's just the premise is a girl in high school finds a box, like a music box kind of thing, something like that, and it gives you wishes. And what do you know? When you make a wish, something bad happens. And it's like, oh, I haven't seen this movie before.
No.
Except I have, except they weren't all this generic. I don't really like to trash movies on here, but it looks like a 90s film in that it's real slick and everyone's beautiful and you know, those worked for a very short period of time and then they just kind of rode themselves into the ground. And this just feels like it was made 20 years too late, and it's not even like that it's a bad film. It's bland. It felt bland to me the whole time.
Yeah, it's capably done. It's very slick. It stars the girl from The Conjuring. I didn't know Ryan Phillippe was him until the end credits. He's unrecognizable. It's not scary. There are no scares in this whatsoever. There's no tension, but it's not for us. This is a movie for, I don't know, 12 to 15-year-olds maybe. I think it's a very narrow groove. They'll love it.
They might enjoy it. Yeah, they might. It just felt generic. I would not recommend this to anyone, any of us, to watch.
See, I saw this trailer and said to myself, I'm never going to watch this movie unless, like Happy Death Day, somebody surprises me and says, oh, you got to check it out. I could tell from watching the trailers, like, nope.
It's on Amazon Prime. And so it was one of those, all right, I'll take a look. And
yeah, exactly.
It's not offensively bad. It's just, it's a nothing.
That's the thing. It's not a terribly made movie. The whole time I was like, what's going on Twitter?
Did you wish it was over?
Yeah, you do. And it's short and still, it's a popcorn fart. That's how I describe that movie.
Okay. Well, let that one go and move on. I went back and watched a movie that I probably hadn't seen since college, but I really loved the hell out of then. Frailty, the Bill Paxton film.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good movie.
Oh my God, I love this movie.
I hadn't seen it. Like I said, it's been good 10, 12 years. Oh, it holds up so well. It's so good. The performances are good. I love the way he directs it. I wish he directed more stuff. I don't know that he ever did another movie. Do you guys know?
Off the top of my head, I don't.
I feel like he didn't. Let's see what the IMDb says.
He's got a pretty impressive cast.
The Greatest Game Ever Played looks like was the only other movie he ever did, and I didn't see that. But so Frailty, it's just a great little film about a dad with two boys, and one day the dad comes in the middle of the night to his kids and says, basically, God has spoken to me, and we're going to go kill demons. And then he just starts abducting people with his kids and killing them. And the story takes place in the current time, and then I don't know what, 20, 30 years prior, something like that. And it kind of goes back and forth. And it's just so expertly done. And his direction was so subtle in this. There wasn't a lot of, quick camera movements, fast edits. It wasn't anything like that. It was just simple, a lot of stationary stuff. And it was so effective. And I think a lot of it's because the performances were great. The story's tight. It just really worked for me through and through. There's a nice ending to it. Just the whole thing. It's just a classic film. And if anybody hasn't seen this yet, Frailty, you need to check it out. It's outstanding.
Yeah. Would you say that's the polar opposite, camera work wise, to tonight's movie, Mom and Dad?
Yes. Like if Babysitter is absolute insanity, Frailty is the other end.
Exactly.
Frailty's got Powers Booth, Matthew McConaughey, Bill Paxton. Who else? Who's the other brother?
I don't think he was a name actor, was he?
I can't remember.
You know what? That Powers Booth and Paxton both died last year.
Oh my God!
The Frailty curse. It's a death curse.
Are you a Damon? If you're not a Damon, you got nothing to worry about. I freaking love that movie. I gotta watch it again now that you said that.
It is fantastic. All right, one more thing here. I decided to read a book for a change.
Yay.
And it was a mistake, though. I kind of wish I hadn't. The author, it was Fury of the Orcas, and it just really did.
I could tell by the cover not to read that one.
It just didn't resonate.
You know what? I got to take a piss. I'll see you guys later.
That was, I loved it. I plowed through it in like 2 days, and I loved that you tied in some other, I don't want to say anything for people who haven't read it yet, but some tie-ins to other things. It's a great job. Are we seeing the Shea-verse?
There's a Shea-verse going on.
So how much is it? I don't even remember. $4 or $5?
Yeah, it's
on
like
Amazon.
$4. Yeah. If you want the full Shea-verse, if you go to my Patreon page, Clash of the Cryptids is bringing every single book and creature into one story. So I've been doing that. I actually just posted another chapter.
Well, that's like Secret Wars.
Dude, it's nuts. And there are some people that are watching us right now who are characters in the book, including Audra, who is the ward of this dude who's been hiding from Dover demons for 35 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
fancy.
Yeah, she almost died, but she made it.
So anyway, Fear of the Orcas, outstanding pacing, my man. It was an excellent
Thank
read.
you.
I loved it. So everybody check that out. I'm done.
Okay, I'll go next since Jack, you're leading this band. A guy at work who's really into horror movies told me to check out a documentary on Halloween 4, 5, and 6 on YouTube. It's an hour and a half long, and if you're a fan of those Halloween movies, any Halloween movie, you really have to watch this.
4, 5, and 6. Oh, that's the lean years.
Well, some might say they're better than what came at. Well, 4 and half of 5 is better than anything that came after.
Oh,
right. I like 4 better than 2. In fact, my preference is 1, 3, and 4, then 2.
Yep.
So, but what they get the directors, the writers, most of the cast returns, and they talk in depth about the movies. They dedicate most of the time to part 4 because that is the gem. Then a good chunk of time, like a half an hour to 5. And then for 6, the best part, it's just Danielle Harris talking for 10 minutes and shitting all over everybody involved in that movie and how they fucked her out of money and fucked her out of everything. That's all it is. I don't think they could get anyone who would even talk about it. So just to see her. And it's funny because everybody else that they interview, all the interviews, they're all older and everything. They express themselves well. Danielle Harris is throwing out F-bombs left and right. She's freaking awesome. I love her. So if you're a Halloween fan, like I'm sure most of you are, except maybe Tim Meyer, maybe he doesn't like them, you got to check this out. It's on YouTube. It's free. Only
what was it called again?
Time. Just type in Halloween 4, 5, 6 documentary.
Okay.
I don't know what the title is because there was no title card on it. It just like boom started. But I dug it. The other movie that I watched was a movie I never thought I would see on the big screen, ever. The Alamo here played the Poughkeepsie tapes, and I went with my daughter. Now, I'd seen it on YouTube. Jack, question: what year do you think this movie came out?
Oh God, it looks like it came out like in the 80s, but it came. I'm gonna say like 2099.
That's what I always thought because I always thought it was part of the Blair Witch wave. 2007.
Oh, wow.
So it's more recent than, I don't know. In my head, it had this deeper, darker lore to it. Came out in 2007. When I say came out, I don't know who saw it until it got pirated and people would pass around VHS at the time. And then sometimes it'd be on YouTube and it'd be taken down.
Yeah, I found it on YouTube.
It
was crappy quality. Was it better quality?
Not much. Not much.
I was curious how it looked on the big screen because it always looked like it was made for about $1.95.
Yeah, well, it's because this movie is about a serial killer in Poughkeepsie, New York, and he kills. They show up. They insinuate, almost show him killing a small child on a lawn, and what he likes to do is put people in his little dungeon and videotape them. And most of his videotapes concern one woman he had captured for like 5 years and tortured her and made her his slave. Whenever it's his camera, it's total crap, which is kind of cool because you don't want to see everything. You're kind of mercifully glad that it's blanking out in some scenes. The interviews, it looks a lot better. The interview sections when they're talking to the police and the FBI profilers, that's cool. This movie, especially in a dark theater, you can't escape it. You need the biggest shower when it's done. Everybody, it was a gut punch to everyone in that theater, which was phenomenal. And almost all of us had seen it before, except the 12-year-old girl who probably needs therapy that was in the theater. If you get a chance, because it's making the rounds, it's on Blu-ray right now, so you could watch that. You watch it at home, but I suggest you turn out all the lights and put your phone away and just be absorbed in this movie because it looks very, very real. It's disturbing as hell.
I wanted to go the night you went, and I forgot that it was playing. I think I'm just going to pick up the Blu-ray, and then I think we should like do a whole show on this because there's a lot to talk about in this movie.
The amazing thing was there were people still in the theater who think it's real.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Because some woman behind was like, "So they never caught this guy?" And the guy she was with, he goes, "Nah, no, they didn't." I don't know if it's bullshitting her or what.
There's an effect in that where the killer shoots himself and he's doing it looks like he's doing a crab walk because of the way he has a mask on.
Well, yeah, he's walking behind a corner in the dungeon with this like Asian mask on his face, but it's on the top of his head. My daughter looked away, and she never looks away. That gave her the chills. And the reason why the movie was there was because this author, Caitlin Benson Allett, wrote this book, Killer Tapes and Shattered Screens. So she was there promoting her book. I bought it, talked to her for a while, trying to get her on the show. The book is it's a thesis on the birth of movies going into the video age on tapes and things like that. It's dense as hell. It's academic. It's purely academic. I'm going to make my way through it, but it's tough. You're not going to get like pithy anecdotes about Friday the 13th Part 4 or Blair Witch. But if y'all want to borrow it after I'm done, feel free.
Cool.
And that's what I did with my week.
Excellent.
Jack has a death curse. I just keep saying it. I can't stop.
So, you watched a documentary about Halloween 4, 5, and 6?
See.
So there's a new, I don't know how to describe it, a talk show series on Shudder called The Core that is hosted by, what the hell's the guy named? Mickey Keating.
Oh, I want to watch this.
So I watched the first one, and it's all about Halloween, and the little girl from Halloween is in it for a while.
Danielle Harris?
Whoever played the little girl that was in the clown costume and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's in it. You will love this. The first episode's about Halloween, and they do a whole bunch of different segments. You learn a lot about all the movies, but they go through each mask from every movie and describe. They have them there, and they're like, here's the first one, here's the second one. They show how they took the William Shatner mask and the modifications, and then there's so much stuff about the Halloween movies that you're gonna love this. I only saw the first one. There's like 10 episodes, so over the course of the next few weeks, I'll watch the rest of them. But I suggest you jump on this. They're like an hour long each.
Do they show the mask with the pink hair? I think that was part 5. There's a moment. It has pink hair. It's terrible.
Well, one of the movies, they had 2 masks. And they had one, and then somebody came in and was like, what the hell is that crap? So they swapped out another mask and reshot some scenes. And so the guy basically says, now that you know that when you watch this movie, you're going to be able to, every time you're going to be able to tell the different masks.
You can't unsee it.
Yeah, you can't unsee it. So The Core I would totally recommend on Shudder if you have it. So the movies I watched, you guys both saw Life, and I had never seen it. I DVR'd it and finally watched that. And that's a fun movie. It's a good popcorn horror movie. It's got a lot of big names in it. The special effects are pretty good. Total, for a horror fan, definitely watch it. Not the greatest movie you'll ever see, but totally satisfying horror movie. A lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it's more satisfying as a monster movie than a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't deserving of all the hate. It was kind of like my biggest thing with it. I'd read all the reviews, and I was like, wow, this movie must suck. And then I watched it. I'm like, it was fun.
I think because people went in and they wanted to see this highfalutin sci-fi movie that's going to tickle my brain, and instead they got a fun-ass monster movie.
Great ending on that, too.
Oh, awesome ending.
There had been a rumor when that movie came out that it was going to be a prequel to the Venom Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Kind of like Split was, and that actually would have been brilliant.
I wanted it to be a prequel to Cloverfield.
Oh, that would have been cool too. The next movie I watched, once again, flicking around, this was just starting, and I sat down and watched it. I'm very curious to see what you guys think of this movie. Watch Jennifer's Body again.
Did you have the sound on this time?
You know what? I can watch this movie with the sound on, because I'll tell you what, there's great dialogue in this, and damn, if Megan Fox is not awesome in this movie. She delivers such great lines. She says stuff to guys that drives them crazy in such like this sarcastic, mean way that she knows is like she owns the guy, and she's like turning him on and torturing him at the same time.
Yeah. Well, Diablo Cody wrote that.
Yeah.
So.
The movie gets a lot of hate, and I finally can come out and admit I like this movie.
Good for you.
How do you feel? You guys like that movie?
I do.
I haven't seen it since it came out, so I don't remember a lot of it, but I do remember thinking it wasn't as bad as everyone pretended when it came out.
And it can be watched with the sound off.
Well, the kiss.
It's optional.
The kiss.
And how do you say
put your turkey basters away?
Yeah, is it Amanda Seyfried?
Yeah. It's funny because when that came out, Amanda Seyfried was the lesser star.
Yeah. Well,
she's like is the queen of the world.
Check her out in the Linda Lovelace movie if you ever want to see all of her. All of her.
Giga-D.
Boob-ometer rising high.
So anyway, I was curious to see because there's a lot of hate for this movie, and I like it. What's his name? J.K. Simmons is like the school teacher in that. He's hilarious.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good. I would actually buy that movie if I could find it for like under $10.
And if you go back and watch it, there's a whole thing where Megan Fox, like when she feeds on a guy, she's all healthy and beautiful, and then she deteriorates.
Mm-hmm.
And she does little things like where she's like sizing up a guy, like right before she's gonna tear him apart and stuff. That's like subtle little things that, like, the first time I watched it, I didn't appreciate as much. And this time, I was watching the performances, and Amanda Seyfried's great too, because she has to like react to everything and be mortified and scared and sympathetic and all that. It's just a good flick. So
it is good pick.
The last movie I watched, I've had on DVR for a long time, and I finally just pulled the trigger the other night. There's 3 Ginger Snaps movies, and I've seen the first one, which is a pretty good werewolf movie. I did not see the second one. This is the third one, called Ginger Snaps Back: The Beginning. And it is a prequel that takes place like in the, I don't know, 1800s or so, out in like it must be the Canadian wild.
Oh,
I've seen the younger sister, right?
Both of them are in it.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that.
And they're like in a fort out in the wilderness. It must be like Canada or something like that. Or it reminded me of what's his name's book. Anyway, it's not a great movie, but it, like, for a DVR movie that I was just like, what? I need something to watch tonight. I was entertained the whole time. And the lead girl, I can't remember her name right now, who's from American Mary.
Oh, I can't remember her name either.
She's just so great that it's like a good B horror movie. So I wouldn't go out and like buy the Blu-ray of this, but if it happens to be on one day, check it out. Or if you find it on Prime or something like that. Werewolf movies are so bad usually that when you find one that's halfway decent, again, I'm not saying it's a great movie, but it's better than a lot of the other crap out there. So it was a good B movie.
Ginger Snaps be fun.
Yeah, it lacked the, I don't know, metaphor and all the layers that the original one had with, girls and becoming a woman and all that stuff.
Well, once you get to part 3, you lose a lot. Then you're just throwing shit out there at that point.
Yeah. But like I said, I'm glad I finally watched it so I could, I'm like, I gotta watch this one day. And I just expected it to be so bad that I wasn't going to get through it. And I got through it. I was like, oh, okay, this is fine. So Ginger Snaps in the beginning. That's everything for me.
Yay. We all watch things.
Oh, wait, I got one question for you. On the book front, you guys still reading Walking Dead?
No.
I get the trade paperback, so I get it like, I don't know if it's twice a year or 3 times a year. It's like a bunch of the
Yeah.
issues. I got the latest one, and I've had it for a few days now, and I haven't even cracked it yet.
What volume is that? Should say right on the front, on the bottom.
28.
Oh, I think I stopped at 20.
Really, I'm in it because I've got the whole collection, so I'm like, I'm just going to keep going. But it's gotten to the point where I read them, I just forget, and then when I start reading it again, I'm like, what happened? And the characters it's all black and white, and so many characters I don't know anymore.
Yeah,
I'm
and
like,
you can't tell them apart from each other. Like the art is so shady. Like I don't even care. It's kind of like a TV show.
I was curious to see if you guys, because the show is limping along, and
you lost me at Walking Dead in all formats.
I bailed from them now for a while, and I feel liberated.
I just opened the book, I think, to a big spoiler page. Oops. Okay, main feature.
Main feature.
So, Hunter, you're driving.
Oh yeah, I am. I forgot I was driving. Okay.
We're just all sitting here looking at each other with our thumbs up our asses.
Yeah. So anyway, tonight's main feature is Mom and Dad, starring Selma Blair and Nicolas Cage, with a cameo by my man Lance Henriksen, who's looking a little less like beef jerky than the last time I saw him. So I was happy to see he looks a little healthier. Do you want me to go through? Look, I'll do the movie. This movie is about something happens. We don't know what it is. It's a TV signal. It's a virus. It's something from space. Makes parents lose this instinct to protect their children, and it flips it, and they want to murder their children. Not murder any children, their children in particular. So if you have a parent who's been flipped and you're a kid, if they're not your parent, they're going to run right past you. And it concentrates on Nick Cage and Selma Blair, who are both having their own version of a midlife crisis, and how they go back and try to murder their teenage daughter and son, who I cannot get what his age is supposed to be. He should be old enough to be in school.
I know. I didn't understand that either.
Is he 9 or 4? It was really weird. It's crazy. It's a no holds barred crazy fest. So, Jack, what do you think?
Well, as you may recall, I saw this movie before you guys and shot you an email immediate after and said, this is the next movie we're doing. And I loved this movie. It is so much fun. Nicolas Cage is perfect for this movie. Selma Blair is great, and she is also perfect for this movie. And this is like that horror comedy that is enough horror and enough comedy that it's satisfying. It's not too much of one way or too much the other. It's like a perfect blend. Because it's got some pretty dark stuff going on in it. It's insane, and it's just immensely entertaining. A huge, huge, huge thumbs up for me from this movie.
Jason, what do you think?
I agree. I thought this was great. I heard Nicolas Cage in horror movie, and I'm like, oh, for the love of God. I'm thinking of that Pay the Ghost or whatever.
I never saw that.
A couple years ago.
I thought the vampire movie he did years ago, that was the worst.
Oh, yeah.
Vampire movie? What was that?
Oh, he did a movie where he thinks
Vampire's Kiss or something like that?
Oh, yeah. It's dreadful.
Oh, I didn't see that one. No, I loved it. I thought his casting in this was so perfectly spot on that he could just go full Nicolas Cage and it fit. It wasn't some weird thing he does in the middle of a movie that doesn't belong there. You know, where he's screaming about the bees. Like Wicker Man style. I thought it was great. I thought the casting was great. The only weird thing is, like you said, the kid who was not in school, but it looked like he was about to get his driver's permit.
What? Yeah, he confused me.
Selma Blair was outstanding. I was glad to see her back. I see her here and there, but I don't really see her in bigger movies. Not that this is a big movie, went straight to video, but I thought it was great. I thought it was hilarious. I thought there were really funny parts to it. I thought the tension was pretty crazy because it was people's own kids. But I like the dichotomy or whatever you want to call it when they're trying to kill their own kids and they see the neighbor's kids and they're like, oh, hey, Tony, and then just keep going trying to murder them. I thought that was just so well done. it almost felt like something that would be an outstanding novel that somebody could really do some crazy stuff in.
Right.
And I loved it.
But you know what? We're going to be 3 for 3 because I had a ball with this movie. Right from the get-go, I love the opening credits that are like something from the late 60s, early 70s.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was going to be a period piece at the beginning.
The tone is so weird, and they do that throughout the whole movie. They're always shifting the tone on you because you're hearing something and you're seeing something totally different from what you're hearing. So you're off kilter. The parents are off kilter. Nicolas Cage, for my money, is the worst actor that Hollywood has ever produced. And the only time he's good is when he can act really bad and just overact, like Raising Arizona. Great in that because, my name's H.I., crazy. I thought he was perfect for this. I love the fact that he was also a little batshit before this thing took over. So you go, how much worse is he possibly going to get? Selma Blair, I love her. Just for doing Hellboy alone, she'll always be in my heart, Selma. I like the way the movie was shot. It was frenetic with a lot of jump cuts, but I think in this case it kind of worked. And there's the scene in the hospital with the birth of the baby that really flipped my wife and I out.
That was intense.
We did not know where the movie was going to go at that point because they did this thing of like this building. This is where we'll do whatever the hell we want. And when it got to the birth of the baby, we were both like, I don't know if we want to watch this. And it's hard for a movie to make me do that. So for that scene alone, I would give it a thumbs up, but I thought it was a blast.
That scene was brilliant. We can get into it more in spoilers.
Oof.
But one of the great things about that is what you were talking about is one of the characters is there and mortified. And then when she's with her own kids, she wants to kill them. And that's the beauty of that. Like, that was really good writing. And they did that a lot where things paid off. They built things up. There was kind of like, they didn't really cheat. It's like they sat down and went through all the scenarios that could happen and got scenes in to cover them. It was great.
It reminded me, I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie. There's a Mexican version and an American version. Come Out and Play with the island of evil children. So
that's on my to-do list.
Yeah, so it flips that around, but makes it even harder because just one of the worst things you can do as a person is kill your children.
Cooties is also kind of the flip of this.
Yes, Cooties, they did some terrible things to the kids. But when it's your kids, and that's what I liked about this movie, it wasn't any kid, it was your kids, which is just... And to make it funny, I don't know how they did that, really.
And the thing with Nicolas Cage is they got to give you really depressed Nicolas Cage, which he does great. Really angry Nicolas Cage, kind of zany, frenetic Nicolas. All the over the top Nicolas Cage mood ring colors you got.
Plus, he was doing a lot of weird things with his body. A lot of weird movements. When he's drinking the beer with his son,
he licks it.
Can lick it. I'm like, what the hell was that?
That was maybe my favorite part of the movie when he just licks that beer can. I'm like, what?
I know that wasn't in the script. The director must have been like, okay, sure.
So for a movie that came out straight to video on demand that is a horror comedy, there was actually a shocking amount of subtext to this movie about parents who have kids and feeling like their kids are killing the person they were and feeling like they're trapped in suburbia and they're not who they want to be. I thought that was really good, and I kind of picked up on it really early. They really pushed it around the middle of the movie to a point where it's almost like, yeah, you're kind of ruining it as subtext now. It's just becoming a plot point.
Right.
But I thought all of that was really good. And at first I thought they were just going to do the dad, but then they showed Selma Blair's kind of going through the same thing. Actually, my only complaint was that they didn't do a little more of that with Selma Blair. There's some interesting stuff happening there with the trainer. But I dug all of that. It's funny because I call these guys, like Nicolas Cage was at the beginning, I call them minivan heroes. If you're out driving, there's always a guy in a minivan who's driving like a psychopath.
Yeah.
It's like the 10 minutes in the day, he doesn't have his kids with him and he doesn't have his wife and he just like is just testosteroning out on the highway. He's got that little 4-cylinder screaming. So I just always pictured while I was watching this, minivan heroes just losing their shit.
And also that as a parent, there's that whole period when they're teenagers where no matter what you do, the kids just shit on you. And it wears on you some days. Some days you look at me and go, oh, if I could just sell you to science. So there, I totally got that. When Selma Blair is in the minivan with her daughter who won't pick her stupid face up from the phone and is mocking her when she's missaying it, you're on the Facebooks and stuff. I'm like, man, I've been there. I wanted to put my kid's head through a window. So I know that frustration. So yeah, it's just a complete destruction of your impulses that you keep back because you can't live life like that.
Yeah. So what do you think? Should we get to spoilers?
Sure, why not?
Okay,
we all like it, so let's ruin it for everybody. Let's ruin it.
100% worth the rental on Amazon or iTunes or whatever.
And
yeah, no, this is a contender for a top 10 list for me.
And it was $6, which for us is expensive when you rent stuff out there.
Yeah, it worked.
All right, so if you're going to bail because we're going to spoilers, don't forget to...
you said it again.
Share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Give us reviews, iTunes reviews. That's the most important thing anyone can do at this point is iTunes reviews.
Subscribe and review.
I assume they've already subscribed if they're listening. If not, shame on you. I hope your mother takes you out in your sleep.
You know what? Before we get to spoilers, do you have the comments that people wrote to your stupid question?
Oh, you know what? You go start talking. I'll go find the comments.
Okay.
All right. We're in spoilers. We're in spoilers now, people. So
spoiler alert.
You don't want to hear it. So it's not an issue I had because it worked for me, but one of the people I was watching this movie with had an issue with it. And it's that the third act is a pretty big shift in the movie. The first 2/3 are showing what's happening at the school, what's happening in the town, what's happening at the hospital. And then the third act is almost entirely in a house, mostly in a basement. And whereas most movies kind of expand out as the movie goes, this one shrank. And it kind of bothered the one guy I was watching it with. He wanted it to keep going big. I didn't have a problem with it, mostly because I thought Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair were so fantastic. If it was somebody else, I might not have enjoyed it so much, but I didn't have an issue with it. I just wanted to throw it out there that he was right. It was a big shift, but
I disagree with him. I think the movie had to go that way because this is about you and your kids. So the movie has to go from what's everybody doing to what is our family doing. So I think it has to.
I agree with you. I liked it, but he's a knucklehead, so whatever.
Also, what's going on in the house is bananas. And there's a lot of cool, like, Home Alone on crack type stunts going on, so the geography is limited, but the action is way ramped up. So,
well, by the way, shockingly, only one person answered the question because I think it was so out there. So, kudos to Audra.
Dumbass question.
My question was, if you were a kid, who would you rather have kill you, your mom or your dad, and how would they do it? So Audra said, I'm a daddy's girl. Oh, so I wouldn't want to want him to kill me. So that leaves mom. And since she wanted to strangle me every day of my teenage years for my smart mouth, there you go. Strangulation. I think that's how my father would have killed me. I think he tried a couple of times, but he was never successful.
I think the answer for me would be my mom, only because I think my dad would hurt more. So my mom would probably like poison me or kill me in my sleep, whereas my dad would like beat the hell out of me. So I think it would be a quieter, painless death if mom did it versus my dad. But at the same time, my mom wielded the wooden spoon when we were a kid pretty handily. So
yeah. So would your dad beat you to death with like a Harley Davidson belt buckle in the 70s?
No, just like a, Caldor's leather belt.
A discount Caldor leather belt. I love it.
There was no Harley Davidsons in our house.
Okay, so let's spoil the crap out of this movie that you can't find on Netflix and is crazy.
I just remembered a scene I absolutely loved.
Here we go.
When Nicolas Cage is in, this is earlier in the movie, but when he's in that car, he's doing donuts in a parking lot and he just has like boobs in his face and he's just losing his mind. I laughed so freaking hard at that. That was amazing.
That my wife looked at that and she goes, "Oh, I bet that actress, her parents must be real proud of her." I thought that was hysterical. I was wistful for his youth.
Seriously, I was like,
didn't do that in mine.
I don't remember that being my life.
The signature scene in this movie is probably when he goes off on the pool table.
Mm-hmm.
That was a dark scene right there. That wasn't funny.
No, that was like that wasn't the virus. That was his frustration with his life. That could have been any guy.
He built it. He built his own pool table.
I thought it was fascinating to see how a pool table was built.
We learned.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. That basically, that's what this movie's about. In the surface, is just people who are really unhappy with the direction their life has taken, and they feel like since they got married and had kids, it's kind of drugged them down. It's in this crazy Nicolas Cage exterior with comedy and horror, but it really felt like to me that's what this movie was about.
Did you love the Chinese maid? And they start talking about the grandfather talking about killing Charlie. And someone was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And she's like, "I'm Chinese. We're not Charlie." And you knew her kid was just fodder.
I loved when you already knew her kid was dead and she was like mopping up blood on the floor. But there were little touches through it. Like, she'd put sandwiches out. She'd lunch out for everybody after having killed her kid.
Yeah, well, she took care of what she needed to, and then she was fine after that.
I kind of like the way that they didn't explain why this was happening, except they sort of threw out theories as to what might be happening.
Yeah, like possibly a transmission over.
Yeah,
TV.
some kind of warfare.
Hard-coded hospital equipment, monitors, whatever. It didn't matter.
So you guys didn't mind that what was causing it wasn't explained, but what about the fact that there's no real conclusion to the storyline at the end? And you don't know, do they get over it? Is it spreading further? Are they permanently like this? Those questions didn't bother me in Night of the Living Dead, and they're not going to bother me here. If the movie's well done, I'm fine with it. I thought this movie was well done. I kind of like the ending.
I kind of don't want them to make any more of these. Don't make a sequel to this. Let's just have this movie and let the mom and dad thing go. We don't need to know more than we got enough. We just got a really entertaining movie. They gave us enough clues as to what probably did it. Kind of like Night of the Living Dead. They talked about the satellite or whatever.
Hey, like in the publishing world, you write a great book, but the sequel's gonna suck. The sales on a sequel are half of the first. Yeah,
don't do it. I mean, I say that as a man who writes sequels to pretty much all of my books because I make money. Here was my take on the ending, and this could just be my aspect ratio part of me coming out. Okay. But I thought there was no real conclusion in the way a regular movie does, because again, this movie was about being chained to your kids, and you don't just get away from your kids, right? Like, even if you freak out and you're frustrated, they're still your kids and you're still tied to them for the rest of your life. So I kind of felt like that was the ending, was literally the parents chained up with their kids beside them. So it was still like a continuation of that kind of subtext thing going on.
That was quite erudite. You're right.
The booze is starting to kick in.
He goes from not being able to say Raggedy Ann doll to coming up with this great little synopsis on the theme of the movie. I'm impressed. Good for you.
Thanks, man.
Good for you, man. No, I totally agree with that. And I was really, the funny thing is, as that ending was approaching, I'm going, it ended the way that in my head, I wanted it to end. So I was actually very satisfied, and I didn't want an answer to it, but I love the fact that, what did these kids do? Right? Because not only the parents are tied to the kids are tied to the parents because they don't want to kill them either.
Well, that's the whole thing. It's like, I want to see, if they were to continue this, I'd love it where it's just a world now where the parents never get better, and so you have to separate everybody. Like that would be kind of interesting, rather than it's over in 24 hours.
And by the way, folks, it's not just parents of little kids; it's any parent.
Well, I wanted to get to that.
Watching Lance Henriksen, you're trying to give him a stroke chasing.
When the grandparents showed up to the house, that
awesome.
Again, that's where this movie goes from good to great. Like the fact that the grandparents came and they flipped the whole thing over was spectacular. And every minute the grandparents are in this movie is amazing.
Yeah, that was such a great idea. As soon as they showed up, I was like, oh shit, they're going to want to kill them. So it was like this ring around the rosy of murder in the house. It was great. I love that twist.
And by the way, their death scenes were epic.
Yes, they were.
Epic.
Lance Henriksen ate a serious shit burger at the end of that.
And the mother too. It was that flipped the script on the whole movie, because that was Nicolas Cage getting a chance to kill his parents, which is something all kids dream about at one point or another.
It's so many movies. So many movies that would try a premise like this would make it so that nobody actually died, that everybody just gets hurt or whatever. But then at the end of the movie, they'd be like, oh, it was a 24-hour thing and we locked them up and somebody got hurt, but they'd make it so that nobody actually died. I love how this just is like, nope, dead, maimed.
Over. Game over.
Game over, man.
Do you think that is that's a good reason for a movie like this to come out on video on demand, because they can take more chances? Whereas when you're going wide, you have to make X amount of money.
Yeah, because then you got to hit all those marks that they insist you do, because it's a business and it's big business. This is little business. This is like probably a $5 million movie, and they're going to make their money back. And you do have leeway, and you can follow your vision a little more. I think it's great. I love the fact that we're getting these movies straight. Remember when it was a movie went straight to video? It was like, oh, that was shit.
Oh, it was a kiss of death.
Yeah, and now it's, in fact, there's better movies that are straight to video than put in the theater. Wish Upon in theaters, Mom and Dad video on demand. So there you go.
Yeah, you don't need to say any more. We should mention this was directed by Brian Taylor, who did Gamer, Crank 1 and 2. I think he did the second Ghost Rider movie, but we'll pretend that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can imagine that kind of frenetic style of those movies, this had that. I mean, it was seriously toned down from those, but it was still had that kind of crazy energy going on.
One other thing I want to bring up. Did you hear that there's a sound, this long droning sound that they use twice in the movie that makes it sound like there's a plane about to crash outside your house?
I don't think I noticed that.
There is this whine, and I stopped. I looked out the window, my wife, and I going, there was a plane flying really low, and it doesn't sound good. But it was the sound in the movie. Like, we had it up so loud. Maybe that's why we couldn't miss it.
Yeah, I don't know that I noticed that.
I saw it like 2 weeks ago, so it's a little.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you watch the movie, a plane is not going to crash. It's just a sound in the movie.
I live outside a military base, so I hear that shit all the time. So I might have just thought it was outside.
Well, yeah, exactly. I live not far from the Twin Towers. So we're very cognizant of plane sounds.
A little more concerning for you.
Yeah.
The voices in my head drown out all the other noises. So
shut up, Jack. Shut up, Jackie. Okay, so this is great. We all love the movie. I love it. This is not going to happen very often. Yes, Jack. Good boy.
I saw that recommendation in the email and I was like, but it was awesome.
I was actually psyched because I had put it on my list of movies to watch. So
I saw Nick Cage. Here's the deal with Nicolas Cage. The guy's flat ass broke, so he will do any movie where they will pay him money.
Yeah.
And I have seen some of these and they are not freaking good in the last 10 years. So that's why I was not excited.
The thing is, when we're doing a show like this, you stumble upon a really great movie and your first instinct is, oh, I can't wait to get on the show and talk about this. And then I had to stop and go, oh, wait a minute. This is a new release and it's tremendous. I have to share this with these guys so we can all talk about it and not just like that's the dilemma you have.
That was good.
Yeah, that was a good call.
we're going to see how this fares our love affair next week, because next week's movie is a theatrical release starring Helen Mirren in Winchester, which I'm assuming is the Winchester house.
It is the Winchester. How do you not know this?
I just assumed. It could be a British thing. She is British.
I've been to the Winchester house.
I have the souvenir of the house that you brought me back.
That's
still
right.
So, look, we all know what it looks like, but I'm banking that Helen Mirren is not going to do total schlock at this point in her career. She doesn't need to do it. There's something there's some meat on those bones.
I haven't even seen a trailer for this, so I have no idea. So I'm just going in cold. We'll see what happens.
It's premiering. There's a late night premiere across the country tonight, but I won't be.
Hunter, let's talk afterwards, because I'm not going to find anybody to see this with, so I need to watch this with you.
I'm going during the Super Bowl. Who's coming with me?
During the Super Bowl?
I'm not watching the Super Bowl this year. We're actually having a romantic comedy night in opposition of the shitty NFL that I.
That sounds almost as bad as watching the Patriots.
Almost, but not quite.
I got my squares. I got to win some money.
Oh shit! Before we get out of here, I forgot I had a piece of news I wanted to bring up at the beginning. I completely forgot.
Oh,
Mike Flanagan is directing the sequel to The Shining, Doctor Sleep. Did you guys see that?
No.
Yeah. So that could be really, really interesting.
Is it part of his Netflix deal, or is this
I don't know.
Too early to tell. That's got to be in theaters. That's too big to put on Netflix.
Let's hope.
But now he's on the Stephen King train.
Yeah, buddy.
He's going to be like Mick Garris and Frank Darabont. He's going to take over the reins for them. All right. That's awesome, guys. Thank you, everybody. I'm sorry I couldn't get in the chat room. I'm on a computer where typing is a bitch. So I decided to concentrate on what I was doing, and I still forgot that I was leading the show. So sorry for the pause in the middle there. Like we say every week, get lost, jerks. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.